benefit. Okay, I see I must stop. Thank you for your time. I'm happy to answer further questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please, let's keep our questions to the end. To the end, please, if you don't mind. Thank you very much. Because otherwise, then we'll be giving answers and ideas to the other candidates. Our second candidate, Mr. Anders.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and thank you to you all for coming here and attending this meeting. Those were challenging questions, and I'll make a serious effort to respond to them. Let me start with biodiversity and conservation. What does it mean to me? How do I understand it? First of all, ecosystems, biodiversity, nature, both fascinates me and marvels me. Even in a relatively biodiversity poor Swedish forest, that's where I charge my batteries. That's where I come close to my inner feelings and my soul. And I'm fascinated by the intricate interplay between all those different species and organisms in our natural environment. Complex systems that have evolved over millennia. Efficient systems. We can learn a lot. I'm fascinated by biomimicry. My friend Jan Ingenius wrote a book more than 10 years ago. My friend Günther Pauli is working on this through the blue economy. There are so many examples how we can learn and be more efficient and be more aligned with natural systems. Diversity is of course important for a number of reasons. First of all, ethical. We don't have a right to exploit nature only for our own utility. Secondly, to maintain resilience. We know that systems that are not rich in diversity are much more subject to threats of different kinds. So resilience is to me very, very important, not least for us as societies. And then, if you're interested in harnessing solar energy, the richer the system is, the more solar energy it harnesses. So, I could go on and go on, but my time is short. Ultimately, rich biodiversity, healthy ecosystems are the prerequisite, the precondition for welfare in the future. Unfortunately, most of our society don't understand that, so we still have a huge task in terms of awareness raising, and by all means integrated these concerns into the economic system. But that is my starting point. And whenever I'm asked to discuss in the public arena about these issues, I'm often presented as an environmentalist, and I say that's wrong. I'm an expert on welfare and welfare generation, because that's what it ultimately is about. Second, how do we advance our vision? Well, of course, by developing our understanding even more about the importance of nature in society. And I see two sort of important dimensions. First of all, the means, our organization, our financial means, the way we relate between headquarters, the regional offices, and the members. And I have understood, after listening to many debates here, that probably we will have to take a fresh look at how those relations work and how resources are being distributed. We have to work together. The one program is very important. And unless we strengthen our organizational capacity, our financial capacity, we will not be able to be effective when it comes to our main mission, to raise awareness and to promote nature protection. The present growth paradigm is, as we could hear yesterday, outdated. It may have worked relatively well for a world with 1 or 2 billion people, but it's not working for today 7, maybe tomorrow 8 or 9 billion people. The system is too short-term. It doesn't understand the importance and recognize the importance of a stable climate and healthy ecosystems for welfare. And it still looks upon investments in nature as a cost and not as a benefit. Natural capital has no value, as if nature was a constant. Of course that's wrong. And ladies and gentlemen, I would submit that unless we have a more in-depth dialogue with policymakers, with business, about the economic model and how to reform it, we are not going to succeed. Because it's, as Bill Clinton said many years ago, it's the economy stupid, but in another sense. And I think we had some very good propositions being made yesterday by Peter Bakker, by Achim Steiner, and by our Korean friend. They made some very succinct comments with regard to the concept of green economy and green growth. And let's not fool ourselves. By just labeling something green, we won't get there. We have to define what we mean. We have to define what we mean. And here I believe IUCN should be an active player, because underpinned by science, we have a lot to say, and we have a lot of knowledge to build upon, so that we can define this new economic model, reformed economic model. It's not a question for or against markets, but it's a question of designing the framework for markets that really work and that bring about the right incentives. We can help to do that by developing further our knowledge products, by helping to implement a sound valuation of nature and natural capital, by looking for the synergies between the Climate Change Convention, the Biodiversity Convention, the Desertification Convention, and the protection of oceans. They are now managed on parallel tracks. We have to see the system. We know that. And I think there are enormous benefits to look at the synergies. And last but not least, I believe strongly in the concept of a circular economy, where products are used longer, where materials are recycled, reused, reconditioned. That would lessen pressure on mining, on logging, on nature. That would mean less production facility, less production in the factories, but it would mean more jobs at the local level for a service economy. There is more and more evidence that there are win-win-win situations here. Both social benefits, climate benefits, and ecological benefits. But we cannot do this alone. We have to be sort of a catalyst, a causer. We have to have partners, because alone we cannot change the world. So new partnerships. And industry is one of them, but we have to be selective. We cannot contribute to greenwash. But you could hear yesterday that there are leaders in business who share more or less the same vision as we do. I think it was wonderful to hear Peter Bakker yesterday. But that doesn't mean that all his members share his vision. And we know that the business community is very heterogeneous, so we have to be selective. But in this era, after Rio, which failed so miserably, and after Copenhagen that failed so miserably, we need to look for plan B, plan C. We need to look for ad hoc solutions, ad hoc cooperation. Not to give up about multilateral agreements, but realizing that in the near future we won't have them. Funding is of course a problem. The core is down, and we have to try to recapture. But we also have to be innovative. The problem is that in some of the areas where we have a natural competence, there are now consulting companies like McKinsey and others who see that all of a sudden there is more and more interest in these areas, and they develop competing businesses. So we have to be very professional, and I think we have to invest in fundraising and innovative fundraising. And last but not least, if we do obtain project finance, we should make a condition that part of that project finance goes as overhead to finance the core. Why should that be acceptable in the academic world? There's not a university in this world that doesn't charge 40 or 50% in overhead for a research project. Why shouldn't that be possible in this field? You asked about time allotted. I think I shouldn't say 100% because I don't want to compete with the Director General. We should distinguish between President of the Council and the Director General. But I'm willing to commit at least 50% of my time. And I want, if I'm elected, this to be a success, which means that if needs are there, I will devote the necessary time. Thank you very much.
I've been requested to remind different languages, there is interpretation available. I'm sure the tools were also somewhere on the chairs or there. Interpretations available. Our last candidates, your turn, Mr. Zhang. Welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Thank you, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. I so much appreciate your coming here. I know that all you have contributed so much to IUCN, and all you are here to share not only knowledge, but also share about the concern of the future of the IUCN, how to reinforce this leadership position further and further. So I thank you for giving me this opportunity. I will ask the question one by one. First one, how do you advance the vision and objective of the union? I think that there is three. Number one, how to further raise the profile and visibility of IUCN. Number two, how important the member service and the role of the member to play, along with the governance. The third one is the resources. How can we enlarge them? I will let the third one in the following question when I address it. Speaking about risk profile, I think that to many, IUCN is a remarkable institution. It's the largest and the earliest. But in many local levels, still IUCN is not known around the world that much. IUCN the profile can be further raised through our communication and outreach programs, working at both international, regional, and national levels. And to raise, I think that number one is to mainstream the discussion today to deal with the global challenges, climate change, biodiversity, food security, poverty, and etc. Second is how can we rigorously push for global agenda to conserve nature through influencing on major intergovernmental policy decisions. We should closely engage and take leading role in CDD process, IPBES initiative, MDGs, sustainable development, Rio +20 process goal, and etc. And thirdly, IUCN must have the commitment to provide nature-based solution to deal with those global challenges. We must make sure the global governments and the private sectors and the local communities realize the existence and the significance of these solutions. And above all, I think that how to promote a just world, the equity, and also even the ethics, how to change the mind of the mindsets of the people. It's a transformational process. It goes through our communication and the education program. And I think that is to mobilize not only the government in the government, but all the people to engage in our IUCN's vision and our programs. So that is the first thing I think is very much important for advancing the vision and objective of IUCN. Second, I think that it is the governance and the member service to better deliver. The members, the commissions, and member secretariats have done a lot and made big achievements really. But given the IUCN's commitment to, there will always be a gap. So we must look at internally the current structure and the way the resources are allocated. I talked to some members today, these days. There is strong view that the hope to review and restrain entire governance of IUCN where necessary to ensure IUCN is respected as a leading conservation institutions is further enhanced. I must emphasize the member service, as we all know that the owner of IUCN is our members. So we must all really stand up, particularly as a president, if I'm elected, to address the needs of our members. We must ensure that members see the participation in delivery of IUCN program are beneficial to their program in nature conservation. IUCN program should serve the needs of our members. We must also contribute the capacity building of our members. The union has a job and duty to make our members better and stronger. We must share our knowledge and share intelligence about donors and funding. When we do our funding process, where it is appropriate, we should let our members take on the jobs. That is the second. And the third is fundraising. Let me now answer the second question to my understanding and commitment to biodiversity and nature conservation. I think that basically there are three dimensions. Number one, the biodiversity and nature conservation is actually the life supporting system of all the things, no matter it's social or economic and all other sectors or aspects. For that, I will not elaborate. I think you know more than I do. But unfortunately, now the critical challenge is that quite some governments has been dropped out by the recent financial crisis or economic recession. They do not see that our field, our heartland, biodiversity and the nature conservation is so much fundamental and a comprehensive role they can play to support them. So this is something if I'm elected as a president, I see it not just as a crisis, because I see the crisis of the nature conservation is even bigger than the financial crisis. But my past experience has educated me that how to turn the crisis into opportunity. I see this is a wonderful opportunity for IUCN. The role of IUCN, the vision of IUCN will become surely more and more important. And in my past experience being the mayor, to change the city from number 40 position into number 4 economy in China with 7 million population, and turned out to be a model of sustainability development. And my also experience in education to put sustainable development curriculum into education and how to do it through informal and formal education for young people, for old, and for all together with the media and the civil society to make it successful. And also my experience in UNESCO and the World Heritage Committee as a president. I managed to unite with climate change when I started thematic debate in UNESCO, so that we geared proactive with the UNESCO's science, education, culture, information communication, mainstream with climate change. So this is the second thing. This is the first thing I would like to say. Second, there is always controversial issue. In other words, I see three relationships. First one is the tension between development and conservation. It has been always the challenge issue. But we must get our message across.